All right, so we're going to get started. I have 2 o'clock on my computer. And so what I wanted to do real quick is do a quick mic check just to make sure y'all can hear my audio. So if everybody wants to, in the chat, just say, yes, I can hear you, or if you know how to use an emoji, you can do a thumbs up. So just navigate over to your chat. So if you can hear me in the chat, just say, yep. Okay, great. Awesome. Okay, so before we get started today, I just wanted to do a quick Teams, very, very quickly, brief training on Teams. So Microsoft Teams is the platform that the Ag Center uses. So it's one that we have to do when we're doing trainings, webinars, orientations virtually. And so if you'll notice your toolbar in the middle of your screen, you'll have your camera icon that's going to be on your left, and then your microphone, it's right after that. So that in the microphone, when you're listening in, it's the kind of a best practice to mute your mic when there's somebody speaking, and then you unmute your mic when you're contributing during a call. It reduces the background noise. So just you can check to see right now if your mic is muted. I periodically will mute mics if I get feedback from somebody's microphone. So if you forget, it's not a big deal. If you ever in a situation where you're presenting during the call, that button in the middle of your screen with the box in the arrow is a present share screen. So that's the option where you would share your screen or present with somebody else, if you're wondering what that is. To set up your audio, so if you're before a call, a good opportunity to set up your audio, you can hit that button with the 3 dots. There's show device settings. You can click on that, and it'll allow you to toggle your audio settings. If at any time you need to ask a question, you can click that option, your chat button, the little chat box there. You can in the chat, you can do a Q and then ask your question, and then we can answer it when we have an opportunity later on in the call. All right. Is there any questions about your team settings? Anybody have any questions about the team settings? All right, somebody. Okay. Great. All right. And then hold on, I'm going to do one thing. So during the call today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the current new and developing initiatives for our Louisiana 4-H volunteers. Also an opportunity to reconnect and share, and then also learn from one another. If you at any point want to follow along on a mobile device for whatever reason, the slides are available at the link at the bottom of your screen, and then at one point I will share that in the chat as well and email it out after the call. So today, your webinar hosts, I'm speaking right now. I'm Megan Franks. I'm the Volunteer and Leadership Specialist with Louisiana 4-H. I believe everybody knows me by now. I've been here since the end of September. Previous to that, I was at another research institution where I worked primarily with volunteers for about a decade. And then also on our call, we have Ruby Miller and Sarah Jones. So I'm going to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves. So Ruby, Sarah, which one would like to go first?
Sarah, you can go first.
Okay. My name is Sarah Jones, and I am I just went blank. My computer's giving me problems. I am the VLA president this year. I am also a club sponsor and leader in Sabine Parish.
And the VLA president.
And my name is Ruby Miller. I am with the Louisiana 4-H Volunteer Leaders. I'm one of the Southwest reps, and I'm very happy to see, I think, Elizabeth Espinola. I can't say her name right, I'm not quite sure, but she's my co-rep, and I think she's with us today, and I'm very happy to see that. I've been a volunteer for a long time. I was also a 4-H agent, and I'm very happy to be here to share today.
And I believe this is the first actual information webinar that the VLA has ever hosted. Is that right, Sarah or Miss Ruby or somebody on the call?
As far as I know, it's the first one I've done.
Okay, great. And so I guess we'll go into the agenda for today. So just a little bit of a background. A few months ago, Sarah and Miss Ruby and I and a couple others were working on potentially doing a first camp specifically for volunteers. It's still going to happen when we have an opportunity to do it, when the time makes sense. But it was called Can't Get Your Feet Wet, and it was for an opportunity for volunteers to learn about what it's like to be a camp leader. And so we had gone through and Ms. Ruby had developed a great curriculum, and we really had a good plan. And as you know, COVID-19 happened, and that kind of put those plans away for a while. And so we just decided, well, we still want to do something, and there's just so many opportunities for volunteers right now, and where are we going to put them in one, place? And so we thought this would give us an opportunity to host an informational webinar just to let volunteers know what opportunities exist for them to make the most out of their volunteer experience. And so some of you know of these, many of these opportunities that we're going to talk about today, others of you may not. And so we hope that you learn something new, and if you don't, that you provide us some potential feedback for trainings or whatnot we can do in the future. And so what we're going to talk about today, obviously the Volunteer Leaders Association, and Sarah's going to provide an overview of that, of the VLA, some current initiatives, also some new ones that we're working on, and opportunities to stay active in those. We're going to talk about some upcoming learning and engagement opportunities that we're pretty excited about, doing some Friday chats, got our newsletter up and going, potentially some ongoing trainings, and some digital credentials for participating in those. Furthermore, we've got some new initiatives that we're working on, and so Mr. B is going to talk about the camp, also the Educational Resource Bank, and then we're also going to talk about the new Volunteer Impact Blog and annual service awards that all volunteers would be eligible for. So we're really excited. We have about an hour today, so we hope we can get through it all and then capture some feedback from y'all as well. All right, so throughout the call, we're going to try to keep you all engaged. So to ask a question, you can always open your chat and type your question at any time. And just a reminder, that's that little box, the little chat box on your screen there. You click on it, you can type to ask your question, or when we have opportunities during the call with this service, we use menti.com to capture responses virtually, and so we're going to offer you the opportunity to do that. So please, whenever we ask for feedback, if you provide it to us, it'll help us, with this orientation, and then also for future training opportunities that we would like to provide. All right, so we're going to test it out today. We're going to do a quick poll. So we have quite a few people on the call today. Pretty excited about that. So if you want to, right now, I want you to go to menti.com and then use that code on your screen. It's 188315, and tell us which parish you're joining us up from today. And then I'm going to share the responses on the screen. So If you've never used menti.com, it'll be your opportunity to try it out, get used to it. We'll use it quite a bit. And if you have, you're probably an expert. So just go ahead and go to on your mobile device or open another tab of your browser, go to menti.com and use the code 188315 and we'll get your response. And then in just a second, I'm going to flip over to those responses. So it's been generating a word bank. So y'all are doing a great job responding. Great. All right, so which parish are you chatting from today? So if I could just get somebody in the chat to, or unmute your mic and just make sure that you can see my screen. It should have a word bank of where we are chatting from today. Should be 10 responses on the screen. So if you want to give me a thumbs up. Okay, thank you, Susan, I appreciate it. So a couple of us, a good bit of representation today. If you did not get a chance to do the Menti or you couldn't figure out, that's absolutely okay. If you can still share in the chat where you're chatting from today, we'd like to try to keep track as we grow the attendance list for these virtual conversations. So great representation. If you're curious, the words get larger the more people that select. So it looks like there's more than one person right now in East Baton Rouge. So if you're wondering why that one's bigger than the rest. So I appreciate those who participated in that. And that's how the Menti works. All right, great. All right, so moving on, the first thing we're going to do is talk about the Volunteer Leaders Association. So this webinar to talk about overview of opportunities for volunteers is a cooperative project between the Louisiana 4-H State Office and the VLA. And so what I'm going to have is Sarah's going to talk about the VLA, what the VLA is, how it supports volunteer-driven initiatives, and some opportunities that exist. So I have control of the PowerPoint. So Sarah, you just let me know when you want me to advance slides.
Okay, so the Volunteer Leaders Association is a nonprofit made up of people who serve and support Louisiana 4-H in a volunteer role. Our mission of the Volunteer Leaders Association is to provide its members with opportunities to inform, educate, and support each other in order to better serve the youth of Louisiana. The Louisiana 4-H Volunteer Leaders Association represents volunteer leaders who are involved in the 4-H program, and our structure provides for leaders to participate in community, parish, regional, and state activities. Programs and functions of the organization will be determined by volunteers who serve in officer roles and with 4-H extension staff in support roles. The Volunteer Leaders Association supports volunteer-driven initiatives among volunteers, and it offers opportunities for learning, leading, and personal growth. The vision for the Volunteer Leaders Association is volunteers through the association will partner with the LSU Ag Center to enhance 4-H youth programming in Louisiana, represent the interests of volunteers, parents, and 4-Hers from culturally diverse backgrounds and various levels of commitment. Volunteer Leaders Association are advocates for youth and leaders to foster cultural understanding, international goodwill in community, state, and the nation. We're also committed to helping youth develop positive understanding of self and reach their full potential. We're also positive role models who develop through continuous learning and doing. We are committed to effective communications and interaction among all levels of the association and 4-H extension staff. And as the Volunteer Leaders Association, we are committed to excellence. Okay, Megan. Our membership is open to every 4-H volunteer in the state of Louisiana. The dues have been changed to a $25 lifetime membership. There are special discounts offered to attendees of regional and state training events. We have scholarships and numerous things that we can offer to help continuing education for our volunteers. You can learn more at louisiana4hvolunteers.com. To join is very easy. You can join online and pay your dues through PayPal, or you can also see us at events such as regional trainings, 4-HU, to sign up there. Okay, Megan. Another aspect of the Volunteer Leaders Association are our awards. And each year we give out 6 awards that are nominated either by agents, or you may nominate yourself, or a fellow volunteer may nominate you. We have the Emerging Leader Award, we have the Youth and Adult Partnership Award, Excellence in Service Learning, 4-H Spirit Award, Program Pioneer, Golden Clover Outstanding Club Work, and then our Supporting Volunteerism for Agent of the Year. Now, anybody can nominate you for any of these awards. Now, the Agent of the Year has to be nominated by a volunteer. You do not have to be a member of the VLA to win an award or to be nominated for the award. And I'm going to go through each one and let you know what they are. So the Emerging Leader Award is to recognize.
Let's post this on Instagram. It's Ella, and says, went to my friend's house today.
Youth Partnership Award is to recognize a volunteer whose outstanding efforts exemplify youth and adult partnership, which engage youth in decision-making that affect them and their world. Excellence in Service Learning is recognizing a volunteer whose efforts have contributed to an outstanding service learning project or program. And then our 4-H Spirit Award is to recognize volunteers who embody the 4-H's and make a significant contribution to their program. Program Pioneer recognizes a volunteer who has implemented new and innovative programs, or has infused existing programs with a new approach to impact the youth. And the last one, the Golden Clover Club Work, is to recognize a club leader who has an outstanding club program exemplifying positive youth development. Now, for the agents, when we're nominating them, that is an award that we want to give to an agent who promotes volunteerism and goes out of their way to promote their volunteers, whether it's parish, region, or the state, or even on a national level. You may be nominated in 2 award categories, but you can only win 1. And those are due on July the 10th. Okay, Megan. Another thing that we offer VLA to our members is the grant application, and the purpose is to provide funds to support the implementation of existing or new 4-H projects. You must be an association member who is working with the 4-H program in Louisiana to receive this grant, and we will award 2 grants for $250 this year. Miss Ruby is your contact person if you have any questions on it, and you can apply for this grant online, and there is a link for it. And if you go to our webpage, you'll find all this information there. All right, Megan.
Okay, and so I'm just gonna take a right before we dive into that next section. Gretchen had asked in the chat about the website for the VLA. So it is, I typed it in the chat. It is LA4Hvolunteers.com, but it's a redirect, so that's why it looks kind of funny here. But if you type in LA4Hvolunteers.com, that's the LA4H VLA website. There is a tab for membership or membership information. On the home page, there's a member information page, but there's also, you can complete that application online, and you can pay online as well. The VLA does have PayPal where you can enter, pay with credit card or whatnot. Obviously, if you don't want to do that, there's other options. But just wanted to clarify that because somebody had asked. So. Great. All right, so we're going to move on and talk about some upcoming learning and engagement opportunities. And before we do that, I'm going to ask another question because it's going to help us. And I'm just going to make sure. There we go. We'll go back. There we go. So I want to know, and we want to know, where do you usually learn about what is going on in 4-H? So if you normally learn about it, directly from your agent in an email, if you learn about it, by looking at the social media, if you learn about it from other volunteers, if you learn about it from members, say you're a parent, and your youth sends information home. So if you want to go to thementi.com, if you could, and tell us, where do you normally get your information as a volunteer about what's going on in 4-H, and then also what's going on for 4-H volunteers. So if you could go ahead and answer that question, go to menti.com and use code 188315.
Do we write an answer that says ask a question?
Okay, is it not letting you do it?
It says ask a question.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I may have hit that like the wrong type of question there. All right, in your chat, if you could do me a quick, if you could in the chat, open up your chat and tell me where you normally hear, yeah, thank you, where you normally hear about information from about 4-H. So open up your chat and type in there for me. Okay, I got Instagram. Interesting. Social media, emails from agents, and Facebook. Parish 4-H agents, also through email and social media. Okay, great. Anybody else? Does anybody learn about any from current volunteers? Okay, nobody. Sometimes word of mouth. Other volunteers and our state specialists. All right, thanks, Sarah. Okay, so the reason I asked this question is it's kind of an important question, and one of the, I think one of the areas that we've been working on, and I think it's kind of important, and it's also an area that was where Dr. Lepley had kind of asked, or at least encouraged, and was to try to create a volunteer newsletter like in collaboration with the VLA. And so there's a lot of great opportunities that the VLA provides our volunteers, and we need to help them get the word out. And so we finally were able to put together a volunteer newsletter. And so you should have received the newsletter. If you did not, please share your email in the chat and I will add you to the mailing list. But it was a way to quarterly provide those opportunities for volunteers that exist. So all of the things that are going on. And I was told by a volunteer this week that there's so much going on, it's really just hard to like capture it all in one place. And so this is kind of our effort to do that, at least for opportunities for volunteers. So yes, if you haven't received it, please put your email in the chat and I will add it to the list, or you can shoot me an email if you don't want to put your email in the chat, I understand. But it takes all of the things that are going on, puts it all together, and then it's sent out. And in saying that, I may have access to volunteer emails that maybe the VLA does not. So you don't necessarily need to be a VLA member to get the newsletter. You just need to be a volunteer. And so that is one area that we're hoping will help you take all the information that you usually have to visit to get to know what's going on and put it all in one place when it's specific to the volunteer needs. Okay, the other thing, and Susan, I saw your question in the chat, and we'll talk about that in just a few moments. But so the weekly virtual chat, so that's something that we started last week, and somebody wants to comment, I'll allow either Ruby or Sarah or somebody. But we thought we're all kind of feeling disconnected. I mean, I've been working at home since March, and I'm not even allowed to leave the house. My husband doesn't. Well, I mean, he does let me, but he's a little bit more, careful about COVID. So I don't do much leaving except for, exercising and whatnot. But so we're feeling disconnected. And as your agents are trying to find a way to get their volunteers connected in a virtual way, the volunteers have found themselves wanting to be connected. This is my perspective talking to y'all. And so we started this casual virtual chat on Friday, and it could be, we talk about what's going on, we talk about how we're feeling, how we're staying connected, how we're not. But it is an opportunity for us to share and get together, and we're going to host it for at least the next 4 Fridays, and we'll send that. You'll get that invitation and to the call in an email, and we are, and because people are starting to go back from work, Susan, that's a great question. We are talking about changing the time after the next 4 Fridays. So there's been some conversation about maybe offering it later in the day in the future, and absolutely we're considering that. But we do have it on the calendar for the next 4 Fridays at 2 o'clock. So we can just kind of chat, talk about what's going on. And then if you have something to ask, VLA members will be there as well as other active volunteers. So we hope that you'll, participate in that. Also, there's something kind of neat that's come together. And Sarah, if you want to talk a little bit about this as well, you can. But we were on a call, was it last week, Sarah? Or was it the week before?
I think it was last week.
Okay. I think it was. It was so a volunteer national conference. It was an advisory call, and so as we're putting together this national conference for volunteers, we're having to hold off on registration because of COVID-19, and so we're all just kind of waiting, for the go-ahead to make this registration go live. And it just kind of occurred to us that maybe there's an opportunity to just do something, regionally. And so I sent an email to one of the other specialists that's a little bit more involved in the committee because, I'm still relatively new. And I just said, I would love to host a chat at a regional chat, with volunteers. So an opportunity for us to get together and share ideas and just talk. And if it would follow the same format as the chat we had last Friday, if you participated in that. And so one of the other volunteer specialists from Arkansas was like, well, I'll set it up if you can be the moderator. So we're co-hosting it, and it is next week. It's in the evening. It's at 6:30 Central. So for those of you that are already working during the day, back at work, so that's an opportunity for you to just get online and then just talk about how we've been adapting or how we haven't been adapting and what opportunities we have to adapt and change and what 4-H is going to look like after COVID-19. And so we'll hope you participate in that. The registration is on the slide. But I would absolutely will be sending this link out, or these slides out after the call, and so you can pull it from that as well. So hope that you'll participate and just share. We'd like to hear from you and have more representation on that call. The other thing that we would like to do is we are planning to host a series of volunteer webinars. So it would be a VLA in collaboration with the state office. So trainings, opportunities for volunteers. Well, if you participated in the volunteer engagement survey that we sent out earlier in the spring, there was an overwhelming amount of requests for just leadership and skill development that is more specific to your volunteer role. And so we thought absolutely we can do that. And so we would also like to reach out to y'all, and you can provide ideas for future topics, because before we sent out the registration, or when we sent out the registration for this webinar, we also asked you, what do you want to know? And y'all provided us some great ideas for future topics there as well. But if you're, sitting in your house right now and you're thinking, well, I'd really like to know more about X, so it absolutely, you'll have an opportunity to share that with us in a survey that'll go out after the call, but also as well in another question that we'll ask. Also, so we're one of the areas that we're going to grow into, and we've developed a digital badge already at the state level for an agent training, but we're going to start doing virtual badging for our webinar participation. So you'll actually get a certificate that you can print and keep, for your master volunteer portfolio or for whatever you need it. And then it comes in a virtual format, like as a badge, but it also comes in a certificate. And so at a future call, I'll kind of show you how to go ahead and print that as well. And so look for opportunities to participate in digital virtual badging. Right, so we're going into another section, but before we go there, let's take a little break. We've got potential questions, so if anybody wants to unmute your mic, anything that we've already talked about, ask a question. They can go ahead and do that, or they can ask it in the chat. Any questions? Okay, I do have a question. So Susan, you asked, has there been any interaction with agents about how they communicate with their volunteers? So if you tell me kind of what you meant by that question, so elaborate for me.
Hello?
I can hear you.
Okay. So I don't get a lot of info from my own agent. I kind of know stuff that's supposed to be happening, and like I said, I learned from social media stuff. So I think some agents are better at communicating with their volunteers than others are. That's just what I'm, kind of what I meant.
Okay. So
like, I don't emails or, text messages, however they do it. I feel like some of them are more forward about that than others.
Absolutely. This is really, it's kind of interesting that you said that, because I just sent out a survey to agents that asked, potential, or at least a group of them that's doing an orientation next week, a new agent orientation. And one of the items that they had mentioned a couple times was communication. So I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, there's different ways of communicating right now. I want to say there's been so many changes just in programs that agents have had, like, I've had a hard time keeping up, and I know, there's quite a bit.
See if you feel lesser because you got to.
Somebody's giving me feedback. Hold on one second. So there's just quite a bit of change going on, but absolutely there's been a request for just what are the best methods to communicate with your volunteers, and so that's actually a training topic, when a future agent training topic as well. So I do think, though, this volunteer newsletter that we're producing, in collaboration is going to help as well, at least specific to the volunteer the information that's for volunteers, specifically for volunteers. So I appreciate you asking that. It's a great question. Anybody else?
Can I add to that, Megan?
Yeah, go ahead, Ruby.
Okay. One of the things that you might want to do if you've not heard from your 4-H agent is to reach out to them and let them know that any way you can volunteer now that you have time and you're wanting to be a part of what's going on, so that they can use you, or and ask if there's some opportunities, and then maybe request that, just ask them, can you email me or text me, let me know, because 4-H is part of what I do and I really want to stay connected. So reach out to your 4-H agent.
And that's great feedback, Ms. Ruby. So sometimes it's not, so agents may not know the skills that you can provide in this situation right now. So it's always nice to reach out and offer, assistance. So there are some volunteers that, have been able to stay connected and offer their expertise and their skills right now, and then others that may not sure how to stay connected. And then also I hope that participating in, webinars, these virtual chats, you get more familiar with the software that we're still using to provide our program virtually. And so that also will allow you to kind of come up with ideas of way that you can still interact and support 4-H. So I appreciate you mentioning that, Ms. Ruby, and I appreciate Sarah. Susan, I'm sorry. That was a great question. So. All right, so moving on. So I'm gonna ask you another question. So as a 4-H volunteer, what area or skill do you wish you could learn more about? So if you go to the Menti and use that code on your screen, you should be able to complete that question. So what area or skill do you wish you could learn more about? So menti.com and use code 188315. And as some of you are learning or thinking about what to say, I'm just going to share some of the responses already. So I would like to learn about more state and national ways to volunteer. I think that's a great. And so we're going to talk about some opportunities for national conference. And Sarah and Ruby can provide more on that. Service learning opportunities for members to complete during club meetings and after school. So I'm glad you mentioned that. I would love to do a service learning training specific to volunteers. That would be fantastic. Anybody else? So areas or skill. I live in an urban area and I would like ways to learn about agriculture type of things without having to be hands-on. That's a great concept. So and then leading club meetings and service projects, service learning opportunities specifically for older students. Wow, that's great. So these are awesome. These are really, really great ideas. And so I'd love to be able to shape some trainings for y'all that would help you develop into these skill areas so you can learn more. Specifically, service learning's one of my biggest kind of interest areas, or being that I worked around the service learning office at Mississippi State. So volunteer opportunities for shooting sports ambassadors. So that's an area that I'd like to grow into and learn more about. And is there anybody here on the call that volunteers specifically for shooting sports?
Or archery.
And who's talking right now? Is that Elizabeth?
Yeah, Elizabeth.
Okay, great. So could you potentially help us with a webinar talking about shooting sports?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay.
Yeah, oh, maybe. But it'll be only for archery.
Okay. Okay. So we could potentially look into that. Anybody else that wants to share? It didn't share in the Menti, but would like to just unmute their mic and share.
I was wondering about the rules for 4-H University for this year. I know there are a lot of volunteers that help to train the participants for the contest. And I know our agents are getting some information now, and I don't know that all the rules and regulations have been put out, but like an update on what's happening with the contest at 4-HU for this year.
So that is a great. So Ms. Ruby, I work with the technology team for 4-HU, and so what we kind of an update. If you're wondering, I'll give you hopefully some information that'll help. So what we've done is we've taken 20 plus of the contests, and we've made them virtual opportunities. And so to do that, what we've done is we've taken all of the contests and put them online. So we're using Microsoft Teams. There's a component of Teams called Classroom, where that contest would exist. And so we build, some of them have exams or quizzes built into Teams. And then also those, the presentations also would be given virtually as well. And so right now we've been able to, it's actually quite a bear of a project to create virtually. It's pretty complicated. So what we've done is we've built the framework for all of those contests. And then we've trained the superintendent. So we had a training, and then we have an agent training and next week as well. And so, yeah, there's still opportunities, for judges and volunteers. It's just a little different, right? It looks a little different than it did before. And so we're kind of learning our way through it as well. But I can show you something that might help kind of explain what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm just going to show you if you're curious. So here's all the contests for 4-HU that we're kind of creating, and each of them has, is a virtual contest. And so, like, for example, I've got a dog and cat science. So this is actually like an announcement that goes out to the participant. Their quiz, is built into the actual contest itself. They're to upload the materials the contestant would need for their presentation. They would upload them here. And so we've just been working with each of those each of those superintendents to build the framework for all of those. So yeah, it's different. We're learning as we go. It's where does everybody fit? I don't necessarily know if we have all the answers for that right now, but we're just continuously working on it. So I hope that sort of answers your question, Ms. Ruby.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay.
So much.
Yeah. And so right now we're actually building the training for superintendents, like a packet after we've done the kind of virtual training, the webinar format. And then we're setting up a demo site for our agents and our volunteers to kind of go through, keystroke through, navigate. So we're doing that right now, the tech team is. And then we'll have, produce manuals that they can then disseminate to the contestants. So yeah, it's kind of an ongoing project. So thank you for asking that. Okay, so we're going to move on. And so the third part of our webinar was new and developing initiatives. And so one of the ones that I'm kind of excited about, and I think Ms. Ruby and Sarah's kind of excited about, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but they can say yes, no.
Yes.
Okay, great. That's fine. So when I first started with Louisiana 4-H, I learned that volunteers weren't logging their hours. And so I talked to some agents and they're saying that my volunteers wouldn't do that. But then in this same conversation, they had mentioned sometimes having trouble with, recruitment or utilization. And so I thought, well, if you're not allowing volunteers to see their impact, I think we're kind of missing out on an opportunity. Plus, there's other ways that volunteers can be honored for their work. And so we reached out to Volunteer Louisiana, which is a large nonprofit in Louisiana that oversees volunteerism, and they have an annual awards program. And so we just had a conversation with them about participating, and they said that absolutely our volunteers were eligible for this award. And so they would be an annual award that volunteers could receive, but they had to log their hours. If you logged 150 hours or more, you get a pin and a certificate to honor from Volunteer Louisiana. And then if you did less than 150 hours, you just got the certificate. And so and there's other opportunities or benefits to using this service log than that. And so I'll just do a quick overview. This is the Give Pulse site for Louisiana 4-H. And then if, logging in, you have this green button to add impact. It's relatively easy to use. Miss Ruby and Sarah have already, y'all have already tried it. It seemed relatively simple. If you click on impacts, you'll see that I can see the impacts that have been already generated. And then we'll go back real quick.
Wait, are you trying to show us something different? Because we're still seeing the minty thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah.
There you go. So you see Sarah's impact log right now? You see that?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So this is her. Oh, somebody's giving me static there. All right. So this is Sarah's log. So this is her, and I hope it's okay that I show this, Sarah, but she's got some of her hours that she's already generated. It shows how much her engagement is over a month, number of hours, total hours, skills, causes, and research interests. And so if I was to click on just this particular engagement, and so, oops, let me go back. So this is even it's another thing. Let me show you all mine. So here's my engagement that I've logged, and then so I can click here. I can download a certificate of that at any point in time if I need to. I can also print a summary report, and I can do an export. So it would be helpful if you're trying to generate a volunteer portfolio, if you need the information for anything. And then it also generates just a nice log of your service. My profile, I'll kind of show you mine. So I've got my about, any of the groups that I'm a part of, causes, skills, and then impacts. So we're excited about it. Sorry, somebody's got a question?
Oh, no, it's me. And I was going to say another thing that it's really good for is it allows you to input, like if you give monetary donations and things like that. So you can use that for like tax purposes along with going your portfolio. And it's been, I think it's a really good program, and it was really easy to get everything input and approved.
Yeah, and I get an automatic email, and then as it continues to grow, I can put agents in the system to do that that automatic verification. And so what I'm going to do after the call, I'm going to send out instructions so y'all can actually go in and demo it. Now it's kind of a soft launch because we're still testing it out, making sure that working out the kinks. But right now it seems to be working well, and the log is up and going. So hoping to provide our volunteers with an opportunity to get awards annually for the service that they're doing. The next thing we want to talk about is the camp that we're developing that we're going to be able to offer in the future. And so I'm going to turn it over to Miss Ruby to talk more about Camp Get Your Feet Wet.
Okay, what I'm going to talk to you about today in just the next few minutes is Camp Get Your Feet Wet. It's being offered as part of the Louisiana 4-H Volunteer Leader Association mentoring program, and you may have an opportunity to hear about that program in future webinars. It's a really great program that we offer as well. But this particular event is an overnight camping experience held at Camp Grant Walker for first-time 4-H summer camp volunteer leaders. So why would a first-time volunteer leader want to attend this camp? Well, the VLA members, the volunteer leader members that served on this committee, worked very closely with 4-H camp staff to plan an agenda of opportunities for first-time volunteer leaders that will help them become familiar with the grounds and facilities of Camp Grant Walker. Also, to become familiar with the responsibility of Camp Grant Walker's summer camp team, that team that's put together, which when you go as a volunteer, you are a member of that team. So it's really great, if you've not ever been before, to kind of learn what everybody's job is, or their duty, what they're there for, who you can go to and who's supposed to take care of different things, or how that works. Another opportunity is going to be that you can network with seasoned camp volunteers, because there'll be camp volunteers there to help mentor you along. They'll help you review and gain an understanding of general camp policies, and also exchange some very valuable ideas to help you get through that first week of camp if you've never gone before. This opportunity or this event can increase your value as an active participant in providing a positive and safe, rich camping experience for the youth that participate, and also the adults that are involved in our camping program. And I think the most important opportunity that this event will offer, this training will offer to first-time camp volunteers, is that it helps you to understand how you can better support the efforts of your 4-H agent or agents. After all, those are the people that are bringing you to camp, and even though everybody on camp needs your help, your agent really needs your help. That's why they brought you. Now, if you've never been to camp before and you would like to go to this event, or you want to participate in this training, you might be thinking, who can participate? For the 2021 training, this camp's going to be open to those volunteers who have completed the Louisiana 4-H overnight chaperone training program and have been selected by their parish 4-H agent to attend summer camp for the very first time. Now, if you've never heard of the Louisiana 4-H overnight chaperone training program, and you're just getting started, you may want to visit with your parish 4-H agent to learn more about that training, because you have to go through that training before you can attend Camp Get Your Feet Wet. The next thing I want to share with you is how you can register, and registration and submission of the forms will be through your parish 4-H agent. They're going to handle all of these things. And we're so excited about this training opportunity. As a participant, what you can expect to do is you're going to be able to tour camp. You're going to be able to eat in the camp cafeteria. How can you pass that up? You're going to be introduced to summer camp tracks. That's what the students or the 4-H youth members participate in every day. And it's really good for you to get your feet wet and understand what those tracks are all about before you're helping to guide them. You're going to complete a craft project in the Arts and Crafts building, just like the kids would do during that week. You're going to get to take a shower in the camp bathhouse, and that may even be a brand new bathhouse. So that's an experience in itself and a learning opportunity to be able to do that. And you'll also get to sleep in a cabin, or a bunkhouse as most people call it. All of these are going to give you the opportunity to experience a little bit about what a day of camp is like, and to ultimately provide a safer environment and more enjoyable camp experience for the youth and adults attending 4-H summer camp at Camp Grant Walker. We were prepared and ready to go this year. Of course, COVID-19 kind of kept us at bay. We're going to take that as we can only improve for next year. If you're wondering when it's going to take place and where, it's going to take place at Camp Grant Walker, which is in Pollock, Louisiana. And even though we haven't talked about the 2021 dates as a team and as our committee, we haven't visited with Christy and all the people that are involved in making that decision. It's probably going to be somewhere about the middle or the end of April, or even at the beginning of May, depending on the most appropriate time to have that training. So we hope you are excited about this. We're excited about this. It's like a camp for adults. You get to get your feet wet before you jump in the water and take a big swim at 4-H camp. Are there any questions?
Does it look like there's any in the chat, Ms. Ruby? Do you want to talk about the Educational Resource Bank, one of the new initiatives?
I surely can. While we're on a roll, I can do that. As Louisiana 4-H volunteers, our shared goal is to build life skills in young people and prepare them for a successful transition into adulthood through the 4-H programs that we help to deliver. To achieve this goal, and I've been a 4-H volunteer and I was a 4-H agent for a long time, and I'm telling you, we have some creative, dynamic volunteers out there. They have created and used many resources to help achieve the goal of getting our 4-H members where they need to be, teaching them life skills, giving them that shot in the arm they need in order to be successful adults in the real world. And if you think about it, what has worked well for you? If you've been if you've been part of shooting sports, if you've been part of food and fitness, if you've been part of Clover Buds, what opportunities have you, lessons, maybe activities, camps, have you created that have really worked for you? Well, we want you to share, and we've created a forum for you to do so. The Louisiana 4-H volunteers are creating, our association is creating a database of lesson and activity plans. And if you would like to participate or submit one, Megan has the form available for us to see on the slide. The slide is just a click and go through and answer the questions. This is an online form only, so if you're going to submit something, we're going to have information up on our website that tips to help you complete the form, and also directions to help you submit it. Because if you printed this out, the form fields would not expand to include all of your information. This is a scroll field, so it's to be delivered or submitted digitally. But we'll have that up on our website. Megan gave it to you earlier, and I think we can give it to you again a little bit later, and it'll be in the resources, and we hope to have that up really soon and have it available for you to submit. The VLA members, there are some of us, and I'm one of them, we're going to go through, we'll help to proof them, we'll help to categorize them, post them, and keep them current so that 4-H volunteers can use this database of ideas to do all kinds of things. So please share, and we'll have more information on that later.
Yeah, we can send the template out, Miss Ruby, after the call, and then is it still kind of a work? You know, if you see something that hasn't worked well, or when you're filling it out, you know, we're always welcome for feedback as well. So, but I think it's Miss Ruby's worked really hard in it, and it looks really good. So,
Hey,
excited. All right, and so we're at 3 o'clock, but we can certainly, you know, press on if for anybody that wants to kind of keep chatting and talking. And so, Ms. Ruby, if you want to, I think this is yours as well. If you want your question, resource question. Can you see it? Okay.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So what has worked well for you? We would like for you to share in the chat. What have you done that's worked well for you? I don't, this could be in the past in meetings before COVID. This could be something that you've, a way that you've kept up with your 4-H members. The ones that you serve could be junior leaders, Clover Buds, Clover Bud parents. How have you kept up, and what's worked well for you, not only in the past, but in right now in this particular time? So if you'd like to type in the comments section something that you can share with others, what are you doing? This is your opportunity to share. You have lots of wonderful ideas. Please share. Type in the comments.
And if I could just add to that, so if you've seen a lot of the like virtual resets or materials that's been put out, you know, and Sarah did one of our field trip Fridays for us, the alpaca farm, and Miss Ruby did she made a healthy meal out of regular items that you would get at a food pantry, so canned goods, and then also talked about the, you know, food insecurity throughout the state, and she made a virtual recess out of it. So so, you know, you can, if you've got ideas to share, that's kind of what this is about. And then so Susan said, I like the idea of having a bank to go if I needed help. Absolutely. That's kind of why we're doing it. So, so I appreciate you sharing that. And, oh, and Shatuan said, I use Remind to keep up with my members. And so I think even like just a, you know, having either a conversation or a webinar or something about communication, you know, communication tools. It could make an entire resource section about communication tools. So yes, great idea. Right. So I don't have, we're a little quiet, but that's okay. Y'all just keep thinking. You know, you may have an idea, you just don't feel like you want to openly share it, and that's okay. So we're kind of getting to the end. We're about 3 o'clock, and so I think it would be great if we did a couple of things. One, if you haven't noticed, you take a look at your screen right now. Well, you'll see, and I'm going to unshare mine so that you can see. Okay, so you'll see that there's 9 people on your screen. So that's an update that happened in Microsoft Teams. So it would be really cool if some of y'all would unmute your mics and and open up your cameras if you feel comfortable doing that. It would be really neat to kind of get a picture of y'all all kind of on together on. There we go. We got 3 or 4. So this is really great because, you know, like, yay, we're getting more folks. Yeah. So one of the issues we had, you know, with Teams or frustrating thing is not having enough people on the screen. So I'm going to.
Those beautiful faces.
I just realized I hadn't. Look at this. All right. I'm going to take a picture.
I know. Do a screenshot.
Okay.
All these great folks.
Actually, I'm going to shut my blinds real quick and get a better one. I hope that's okay.
And I do want to say that Kim in the comments section wrote that, added that her husband Robert is posting safe match. He's the safe match director for rifle, and he's posting tips and links and training information. And he does this at least 5 times a week to keep his, I guess, his shooting sports kids up to date and really thinking about their shooting sports team and what they have going on, which is a great idea.
That's awesome.
He posts that for our shooting sports kids, the coaches, everybody involved with shooting sports. Sometimes it's a coaching tip, sometimes it's a rifle shooter tip, sometimes it's just a positive, a positive message about, keep practicing and stuff like that.
Can you send me that, Kim?
Yeah, he posted on the Ascension Parish 4-H shooting sports page.
Okay, I can go look for that. So I appreciate you sharing that. Awesome.
And the Louisiana Outdoor Skills page on Facebook.
Okay. Great. Yeah, sometimes we just don't know, with 64 parishes that all of this is going on. So thank you.
That like several times a week. And any information that we have, we post almost immediately on our Facebook page. When we've gotten updates about what was going on with the state match or the nationals match, because, they canceled the state match and nationals was also canceled.
Yes.
And which is good because Louisiana gets to be the national champions 2 years. So that.
Yeah. So it's just, there's been a lot.
We want to do something all the time to keep kids thinking about shooting sports.
Yeah, that's good. So I like that. I appreciate you sharing that resource too. There's also, I guess, one other thing that we should probably share with everybody is about important dates too. So you'll see the grant applications are due June 25th. Those VLA award nominations are due July 10th. Or Sarah, if you want to go through these, I don't have to. Sorry, don't want to.
Fine. So the grant applications are due June 25th. Award nominations are July 10th. The Master Volunteer Portfolio is due July 31st, and that will need to go to Megan. If you have any questions, if anybody needs help working on one, just let us know, and we will find somebody that can help you. And one of us, will be glad to. Rock Eagle is a conference. It's our national conference, and it's held at Rock Eagle in Georgia. That is a fantastic conference. It's September 24th through 27th. And if anybody wants to make plans to attend, once they open up registration, we'll let y'all know. Our annual conference has been moved from September to October. And it's going to be a lot different this year because we are going to come in on Friday night and leave on Sunday morning. And we have some things to work out. If something happens and we cannot meet in person, then we may, move it over to like a Teams conference or something like that. Now, something new also this year, we will have the Hall of Fame during our conference, and that will be on October the 10th. It's going to be a couple hours on that day. And so if you've never been to the Hall of Fame, you'll get to see the ceremony and meet some of the Hall of Fame inductees. And I think that's going to be a really good asset this year to our conference. It's something new, and I don't know. I'm excited about it. And if y'all have any questions about any of the dates, just let us know and we'll help y'all. We also offer the scholarship. So if there's a program or a conference you want to attend, let us know. Miss Fran handles most of our scholarships, and, we'll do what we can to see that we can get you there.
Yeah, and the other thing that we were just asked is if we could do a whole webinar on portfolios. And so I just want to say, I still have master volunteer portfolios that are in my office. I haven't been able to we're technically not allowed in our offices. We were sent home in March. So those, if you're waiting for, those confirmations, I don't have the access to the pins or the anything to send out. But as soon as I'm able, and I believe we're allowed to return next week. We just got to kind of, we have a schedule of who's allowed to return at one point. But I do believe, yes, we need to do an entire webinar on portfolios and the Master Volunteer Program. And so I'm going to look to y'all that are Master Volunteers to help with that. Hopefully y'all, right, are good with helping with that.
Hey, and Susan asked a question about the scholarship requirements. That's a good question. If you do get a scholarship or one of our grants, then we are going to request that you do some sort of presentation. And there's going to be various ways that you can do that, but to come back and share the information that you learned on the trip or conference or whatever you went to. We have some other things we're in talks about the scholarships right now too. But that's going to be the biggest thing, is that we do ask that you come and share what you've learned, with other people. Yeah,
and also Kim mentioned like going to Rock Eagle, and I'll just say like Rock Eagle is the best, and we'd really love to have more folks there. And where can I find the forms? Kim's asking. Kim, are you asking specifically for Rock Eagle or for the scholarship, or everything? You can everything. Great. Okay, I'm gonna email the slides out, the link to the slides after the call, and then I'll try to copy the links of all those forms in there so you'll have them. So thank you for asking that. So yes, we can do that. And then also, if you ever, I encourage you to apply for those scholarships, but also when we do have registration open for Rock Eagle, please attend also the state conference as well. We're kind of at the mercy for this entire southern region. We're just kind of waiting to open up registration for the national conference, but also within our state conference as well. So, so thank you for asking that. And then VLA, Kim, do you mean the VLA membership form? Okay, she's asking, and Sarah's answering her question. All right, great. So is there any other questions that we can answer right now? I think we're good. So we're going to email a slide link out after the call, and if you didn't pre-register, you can share your email in the chat, and I'll make sure that you get that link. I think everybody did get access to it though, but then also following the VLA on Facebook, they did open up a page. We just recently, Sarah just started that, I want to say like a month or so ago, but we've been sharing a lot of information there. So yes, Susan, absolutely, we'll share those slides with you. So, all right, so anything else anybody wants to share?
Really quickly, I'd like to encourage those members who work with 4-H youth from Clover Buds to senior members to apply for a grant to carry out a program. You may not be thinking about a program right now because you're not with your students, but think about how you can re-energize them. Maybe even the program that you submit for a grant is something you carry out online. So, or through social media or some innovative way you want to connect with those kids, and maybe deliver brown bag activities or something to them. But please think about your kids and apply for a grant. We want to help you get started and do some great things.
Great. Well, thank you all for participating in the call today. I just shared the link to the slides in the chat, but I'm going to email it out after the call. And so please join us next Friday at 2 o'clock for virtual chat, and then keep checking the social media and then for future webinars. And so thank you all.
And Thursday night for our regional.
Yeah, Thursday night for the regional. So great. All right.